विश्वविद्यालय का कुलगीत हम सभी सुनेंगे। वह कुलगीत जिसके अंदर देव संस्कृति विश्वविद्यालय, आखिर यह देव संस्कृति है क्या, इसका उद्देश्य क्या है, परम पूज्य गुरुदेव पंडित श्री राम शर्मा आचार्य जी की यह दिव्य स्वप्न का एक साकार स्वरूप देव संस्कृति विश्वविद्यालय है। इस कुलगीत के अंतर्गत वह दिव्य वह झंकार समाहित है जिसे हमारे युग विजेता युग गायकों ने रचा है। आइए हम अब कुछ ही क्षणों में इसे हम सुनेंगे। आप सभी बने रहें इस पर। इसमें आवाज कहाँ है? चलना मोबाइल लेकर, मोबाइल यार आप गंगा की हिमालय की मिली छाया इसे, दिव्य वातावरण में पोषित मिली काया इसे, कुल पिता है बरसता स्नेह संरक्षण यहाँ, कर्म की मिलती उन्हीं से प्रेरणा हर क्षण यहाँ, कर्म की मिलती उन्हीं से प्रेरणा हर क्षण यहाँ, दुर्योधन की दिव्य मधुमयी हार है, देव संस्कृति विश्वविद्यालय सृजन का द्वार है, देव संस्कृति विश्वविद्यालय सृजन का द्वार है। यहाँ होता प्रखर तम चेतना का जागरण, आपसी सद्भावना संवेदना का जागरण, यह महामानव बनाने की सुघड़ टकसाल है, इसमें युवाओं की बदलती चाल है, इसमें युवाओं की बदलती चाल है, लगता उन्हें अपना सगा परिवार है, देव संस्कृति विश्वविद्यालय सृजन का द्वार है, देव संस्कृति विश्वविद्यालय सृजन का द्वार है, ज्ञान का जो अनवरत आधार है, ज्ञान का जो अनवरत आधार है, विश्वविद्यालय सृजन का द्वार है, देव संस्कृति विश्वविद्यालय सृजन का द्वार है, देव संस्कृति विश्वविद्यालय सृजन का द्वार है। जैन हो गए ना।
Can you hear me, Jimena?
Yes, you listen the divine Kulgeet of Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya, very energetic.
अरे तिवारी जी, हमारी पिछली पॉलिसी का नंबर आप जरा हमें मैसेज कर दीजिएगा।
Considered in this slogan.
आप मैसेज कर दीजिए प्लीज जरा।
Important lecture.
One choice, if I can be heard, I can give my lecture, even though I may not be able to be seen, or I am Barry Rathner.
हाँ संतोष जी, अभी क्या शुरू नहीं हुआ? क्योंकि इसमें एक तो साउंड बिल्कुल नहीं आ रहा है और अभी कुछ और फंक्शन का वो दिखा भी नहीं रहे हैं, कुछ वो खाली शांति कुंज का वो पूरा अपना नहीं तो इसमें आ नहीं रहा है। ओहो। और साउंड भी नहीं है बिल्कुल, मतलब हमारा स्क्रीन जो है वो ब्लैंक जैसे लाइव लिख के आ रहा है, और एक बस कुछ और आ ही नहीं रहा है उसमें।
अरविंद,
मैं तो, मेरी फोटो तो नीचे छोटी सी आ रही है, बाकी और कुछ नहीं आ रहा, कुछ नहीं आ रहा है। बट हमको कोई आवाज नहीं सुनाई पड़ रही है। और अच्छा अच्छा, ओहो, अच्छा, ओहो।
हेलो प्रदीप सर। हेलो
नहीं तो
प्रदीप
यहाँ पे तो
सर।
कुछ जैसे बिल्कुल नहीं चल रहा है, कुछ एकदम जैसे ब्लैंक सा आ रहा है। चलिए
हेलो
देखते हैं।
प्रदीप सर, कैन यू हियर मी?
हम तो अनम्यूट हैं। अच्छा,
Now please focus at the main screen. The hosting our respected प्रोविसी देव संस्कृति विश्वविद्यालय परम आदरणीय डॉक्टर चिन्मय पांड्य sir present here to deliver a very important and the speech you listen.
Yes, sir, please mute your mic.
Okay, let me find it.
Now I will request Mr. Barry Ratner, Dr. Barry Ratner. So please come and present his lecture on the topic why psychology, why coronavirus, why I am here. So I am requesting Dr. Barry Ratner, if you are listening, so kindly present your session to all of participants.
Yes, I'm happy to do so.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
That's okay. It's raining in Poland also, not just India. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you are audible, sir. You can start your session. Or
Okay. So my name is Barry Rathner, and I began doing Agnihotra in January of 1976, having met Sri Vasant Parante in USA. Some people need to mute their microphones because I'm hearing interference. So, the title of my talk is basically why. Why psychotherapy? Why coronavirus? And why am I here? Why am I here means basically Swadhyaya. Why am I and the rest of you here on this planet? The why for psychotherapy, we might think of as something like this. If you do not look at the owner's manual of your automobile, then you might be driving it for months and months and months and never know how to adjust your seat properly unless you look in the owner's manual. In Poland, it gets cold. For months, I didn't look at the owner's manual and I didn't know how to make my seat hot, which is something good to know if it's minus 40 degrees, which it can be here. So the same thing with Homa psychotherapy. Why psychotherapy at all? I know I'm preaching to the choir here because these are mostly people listening who have interest in psychology, but it's still good to review to know that unless and until we focus on our minds, then our minds will control us rather than we training our minds. Now, the goal, of course, for psychotherapy is to be happy. And not only to be happy for a short moment, you can do that with drugs, you can do that with music, you can do that with companionship. But all of those things create situations of happiness followed by unhappiness. So we are looking for a situation where we want total happiness, total love, and not just for the pleasant aspects of those states, but to heal ourselves, to heal our planet, which leads to number 2. But first, before I get to number 2, why coronavirus, I want to say this. When we began Agnihotra, and two of my colleagues speaking today are included in this we, Dr. Burke and Dr. Gregory, we were promised the possibility of living without fear, without stress, without anxiety. Now, how many people do you know living today who are living without fear, without anxiety, without stress? Certainly, they will number less than the fingers on your two hands, I am sure. So this was the promise we were given, that if we followed the fivefold path of Vedas, Yajnadan, Tapa, Karma, Swadhyaya, we could reach that state. Now, Dr. Burke will talk in detail about this simple Agnihotra we do, how we do it, why we do it, and how it works, and several experiments of showing the results of Agnihotra on several parameters. So I will not do that. I will talk for a moment about why coronavirus. Well, everything is karma, of course. We get what we deserve. Human beings have come close to destroying this planet through acts of commission and acts of omission. And now we are reaping the seeds that we have sown. The good aspect of coronavirus is the following. Once this is under control, perhaps the elephant in the room will be addressed. Climate change. And if we have learned nothing else from coronavirus, it might be that, yes, human beings can create bad situations, but human beings can also fix the problem. So, as you look at the Himalayas from Delhi, for the first time in your lives, if you're younger than 25 years old, think to yourselves, what can we do to make this not just a temporary situation, but one that can remain? And we say that Agnihotra can heal the atmosphere, and the atmosphere will heal you. We also have said at times it can heal the planet. Well, yes, as I said in a previous talk, if millions and millions of people do Agnihotra, we may be able to heal the planet. But at the very least, at the eco village Brugu Ormanya that I live at, a major teaching center for Agnihotra, between the Agnihotra at sunrise sunset that has gone on for 25 years, between the 5 hours daily Om Trambakam Yajna that goes on daily, besides the 24-hour Yajna Om Trambakam that is going on as we speak for new moon, Amausha, we at least experience, and our guests and visitors tell us, that coming here is like going to a place they've never been at. And you can duplicate that by simply doing Agnihotra in your own home, in your own clinic, and you can help serve your patients. I don't have too much more, so I will get to number 3. Why am I here? This is the essence of Swadhyaya, self-study or self-development. Why am I here is part of it. What should my profession be? What should my job be? And such. But it's more inclusive than that. It includes, who am I? Who am I really? You know, you can lose your arm in an accident, and Who is it that's saying my arm? I've lost my arm. Well, that's me. I'm saying it now. So what is it that we are that goes beyond our body parts, for example? So Swadhyaya is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job. Every opportunity in life is an opportunity for us to ask, not only how did I handle that situation, how could I have handled it better? How can I find myself less pulled in the directions of greed, anger, lust, attachment, pride, envy, jealousy? How can I control those things? Because if you're going to be happy all the time, you can't be any of those 6 crocodiles I just mentioned any of the time. Because if you're angry, you're not happy. If you're greedy, you're not happy because you want more, which infers that you're not happy with what you have. Getting close to the end of my 15 minutes, I'll just say this. People always like to say they are living in unprecedented times. These times are unprecedented. Well, for the first time, we can say that this is not a poetic term. This is an unprecedented time because of Corona. This is an unprecedented time because of climate change and other challenges on the planet. And these, as they say, are the times that try men's souls. But we've updated it to try humans' souls. So all of us have an opportunity, a challenge, and the tool of Agnihotra. So please pay close attention to Doctors Gregory and Burke. This tool can help you with the stress and the anxiety and the tension that is all around us. Even if I am not stressful, anyone I meet today is likely to be stressful. Why? Getting back to my 3 whys. Because the planet is facing situations that are killing people, making people sick in unprecedented gravity periods. So thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking around. I suspect there will be an interaction, whether it's question and answers or whatever later, but I will be happy to stick around for that. And thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving your valuable time and sharing your knowledge. You are basically running Dhragu Aranya in Poland, having experience of 40 years on Agnihotra. We are very blessed and happy with you here, and we will always try in contact with you and accept and advises you so we can help for the mental excellence of human beings in this planet. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. We will request you to be present on our webinar. We are moving towards our next participant or our honorable speaker, Dr. Ulrich Berg. Are you listening, sir? My
Yes,
voice
I
is,
am.
yes. Can we start?
Sure, we can.
You okay, sir?
I'm just starting my presentation. Okay. So thank you, Samyak, for invitation. Thanks for organizing the whole thing. I know it was not easy today because of these problems with internet and rains and so on. But okay, happy to see that in the end it worked. Today, I'm talking about Agnihotra and its role for yoga and our mind. Often people, especially in the West, they see yoga just as some physical exercises. But indeed, there are many different branches of yoga, and the common goal of all of them is to still our mind, to achieve inner peace and harmony, so that we ultimately become united with our true nature. And now, recent studies have shown that air pollution affects people's intelligence. And that affects our well-being, our minds, and that definitely will also make it more difficult to get in a relaxed state of concentration, which is necessary for both yoga and meditation. So is there anything what we can do ourselves to reduce these pollution levels? There's one method, it's called Agnihotra, a healing fire coming from the Vedas, the ancient most knowledge of mankind, which purifies the atmosphere and thus positively affects our mind. Long-time meditators said when sitting in Agnihotra atmosphere, they reach a deep state of meditation within minutes, which normally takes them half an hour or so. In this presentation, I will describe this method and explain some of the effects. So, one important aspect of all the different branches of yoga is the atmosphere which surrounds us. And although this atmosphere has a tremendous effect on our mind, and thus on all techniques meant to bring about a change in our mind, it has widely been neglected so far. And that's astonishing because already in the Vedas, methods to purify our atmosphere were given. And also it was mentioned that the basic tool, Agnihotra, is one of the daily duties of a householder, a nitya karma. And nowadays, the necessity is even more because pollution of the atmosphere through harmful bacteria, chemicals, particles, pollution of the soil, pollution of our water resources, even pollution, nuclear radiation, all these pollutions are very much present all over the planet. And the origin of all forms of pollution is thought pollution, because a person with a clear mind would not pollute his environment, would not pollute Mother Earth. So then one more thing of pollution is thought pollution. All our thoughts and emotions leave some imprint in our atmosphere. They remain there like subtle objects which most of us cannot see, but still they have an effect on our mind. Negative thoughts like anger, greed, violence, the 6 crocodiles, which Barry mentioned, all these influence, they are not there just for the moment when we have them, but they will stay in the room for some time. And this thought energy even has an effect on plants. An experiment done at Pantnagar Agricultural University, the oldest agricultural university in India, showed that higher germination rates happen when the seeds are kept for a few days in a room where regular meditation was going on. So this thought energy can even be, it cannot be measured maybe, but you see the effects on plants, you can detect the effects. Now, many methods like yoga, meditation help to reduce the effects of thought pollution on our mind. But what if we could deal with the root cause of the problem, that is our polluted environment, which interferes with the flow of prana? And that is exactly what Agnihotra and Homa therapy do. How does it work? What is the opus moderandi? operandi. With homotherapy, we purify our atmosphere, our environment. And it's said that by inducing a change in the atmosphere, you bring about change in functioning of prana, of the life energy. And that then has very beneficial effects on our mind, as prana and mind are like two sides of the same coin. You see it here. Prana immediately has an effect on the mind, and also mind has an effect immediately on prana. Now, what can we do to improve our mental situation, how to work on the mind? It is difficult to work with the mind itself on the mind. So how can we work on prana and then affect the mind? That we can do through the help of atmosphere, because atmosphere regulates the flow of prana. So if we purify the atmosphere, then the flow of prana is harmonized, and immediately we go an effect on our mind. And how to do that, how to influence the atmosphere? The answer is Agnihotra. Here you see some people performing Agnihotra. This photo was taken, by the way, in Chile, in Santiago de Chile. Many people there were performing Agnihotra. And Agnihotra, what is this tool? It's the smallest basic healing fire tuned to the biorhythm of sunrise and sunset. And what you need is, first thing, you need this copper pyramid of fixed size and shape. Then you need some dried cow dung. It has to be pure cow dung, not mixed with buffalo. By the way, some people think it has to be from desi cows. That is not so. Of course, desi cows, they are better, but with other cows, also possible to perform Agnihotra, because in the West, we don't have these desi cows normally, and still Agnihotra works. Then also we need some ghee, some clarified cow's butter, again purely from cows, not mixed with buffaloes or other animal butter. Some grains of unbroken pieces of rice, some mantras, and a timetable of sunrise and sunset. Why do we need exact timing? Why do we need these mantras? That is because it is said that at sunrise, a flood of subtle energies comes from the sun to the planet, and this flood of energies has a subtle music in it. And the quintessential sound of that music is the mantras which we utter at that time. Therefore, we have kind of resonance effect, and this leads to the big effect of Agnihotra. Interesting to see that some American astrophysicists gave this description of sunrise and sunset, and he said that at sunrise, million ampere currents head in towards sunrise and again head out at sunset. So modern science confirms what this ancient science said about sunrise. Here is another example that was done by some physicists from Eastern Europe, and they had instruments to measure subtle energy, and they found out that exactly at the time of sunrise, there was a big increase, you see the graph, big increase in these subtle energies. So the mantras we utter at that time, it's 2 mantras in the morning, 2 mantras in the evening. In the morning, it's Suryaya Swaha, Suryaya Idam Namama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Namama. And after Swaha, you add 1 portion of rice, to which you add a little bit of ghee to the fire. So in the evening, it's Agnaye Swaha, Agnaye Idam Namama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Namama. By the way, you have to do the offering with the right hand. Now my my image is changed, reversed. So that is my right hand. So I showed it with the left hand, so you see it as being done by the right hand. What happens after Agnihotra? It is said that a channel is created throughout all the atmosphere, and prana energy, life energy, comes down through this channel, and an aura energy field is created around all plants. All plants get nutrition, they get disease resistant. When the flame dies, all this energy is coming back and it's collected in the Agnihotra ash. This is why we can use the ash for healing, for our plants, and so on. What are the effects now? Mainly, the effects are purification of the of the environment, atmosphere, soil, water resources, effects on plants, also on human health, including psychotherapy, drug addiction, and so on. And I just want to give a few examples. For the atmosphere, pathogenic bacteria are reduced. You can see here very easily. 2 petri dishes were open for 10 minutes, one before Agnihotra, the left one, and the right one after Agnihotra. And you see immediately the reduction in bacteria of the air, which is for the moment very important because it also reduces particles in the air. And these viruses like coronavirus, they are attached to particles. So if particles are reduced, there will be also less bacteria and viruses in the air. So the risk of getting infected will be less. But that's a different topic. So Agnihotra also has beneficial effects on the soil, like water holding capacity of soil increases, water solubility of phosphorus increases, beneficial microbes are increasing, and harmful microbes, they are being controlled. Then both acidic soil as well as alkaline soil come back to normal. What happens to water? Drinking water can be cleaned. High salinity, high acidity water from well is brought back to normal. Like one example, pH was 9.5, came down to 7.2 just in a couple of months. And even whole rivers show some improved water quality in the vicinity of Homa places, which we have seen, for example, in our Homa therapy, Goshala, Maheshwar in MP, which is close to the Narmada River. Also, there are subtle aspects, referring to the energy level of water, which improve. And this you can easily see on this slide. This is a method which one Japanese scientist has developed, Dr. Emoto, and he took water drops and shock froze them and then made photos. And you see left side water from tap water from Tokyo in Japan, really not very nice quality. And then after adding Agnihotra ash, you had all these nice crystals. You see on a more subtle level, the water quality improves a lot. Now, what about human health? Today, after a long time, even conventional medicine accepts that our mind is connected with our physical well-being. And therefore, it's not surprising that purifying the atmosphere by Homa therapy, thus inducing a beneficial change in our minds, also has tremendous healing effects on our physical and mental body. Just some examples: blood pressure will be regulated, asthma can be healed, diabetes, depression, and so on and so on. If you want to know more about these healings, you can go to this webpage, www.homahealth.com. I just want to give one example: blood pressure. This was a simple thing. People were asked to sit for Agnihotra, and blood pressure was taken before Agnihotra and after Agnihotra. And you see, those with high blood pressure came down. Those with low blood pressure, it came up. So blood pressure is being regulated. And that's very important because people with high blood pressure, especially, they have to take medicine normally for the rest of their lives. And these drugs have negative side effects. And if you can use Agnihotra to control blood pressure, then that could be really a big help for healthier and happier life. Another big example of how Agnihotra helps in medicine, that was this catastrophe in Bhopal when the Union Carbide factory exploded and MIC gas was released, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people died, and tens of thousands of people were heavily affected, had health problems. But all those who were doing Agnihotra in their homes, nothing happened to them. That was big news at that time in national newspapers in India. One more important point is stress and anxiety. Dr. Barry Rathner at the beginning said that whom do you know without stress and anxiety? And he said, okay, maybe you can count them with the fingers of your two hands. So it's a big problem. And we have seen in different experiments how Agnihotra helps. That was the first experiment was done in Moscow several years ago, and it showed that anxiety was reduced. You see the red bars are anxiety before, the white one after Agnihotra. You see a big reduction. Same with depression. Depression before, it was the black bars, depression after the green bars, big reduction. Another experiment was done in Chile. That was very interesting because that was a blind experiment. The people who were examined, they didn't know that they were close to Agnihotra. This was done at the medical university, and the students of medicine, before a very difficult examination, they had very high stress level. And so from those people who were tested, 24 with the highest stress level were selected, and two groups were formed. And both groups were invited for a Tai Chi lesson. One group had Tai Chi and stress level went down. Good. The other group also had Tai Chi, but in the room next door, Agnihotra was performed, and stress level went down much more. So that was a significant difference between those who just had Tai Chi and those who had Tai Chi next to Agnihotra. Of course, that was not ideal. Ideal would have been if Agnihotra would have been performed in the room itself, but people wanted to exclude placebo effect, so they had it next door. Even better would have been if all the students would have performed Agnihotra themselves. That will be another experiment we will see. You see the graphics, and interesting is the stress level was measured by a questionnaire, one thing, but also by checking the cortisol level in the saliva. So it is an objective method, and all these mental possibilities of some wrong result were excluded, like placebo effect and so on and so on. This is an interesting thing also, Kirlian photography, before and after, and you see the energy coming out of the fingertip. At the left side, there are a lot of interruptions, which means that the energy flow is somehow blocked. On the right side, you see the energy flows nearly harmoniously around all the finger. Here, the same thing with a depressed person. Before Agnihotra, there were big holes in the aura around the finger. And then after Agnihotra, just after Agnihotra, 3 minutes, much better. So Agnihotra has an immediate effect. One more thing, somebody in Moscow, Russia, took EEG before Agnihotra and after Agnihotra. And you see, before Agnihotra, beta brain waves were dominant. Beta brain waves were 70, alpha 17, and then theta brain waves, which indicate some level of relaxation, like meditation level, were very less. After Agnihotra, beta came down from 70 to 22. Alpha went up from 17 to 56, nearly 57. Now alpha waves, which indicate a relaxed state of being, they were the dominant brain waves, and theta waves went up to 20% also. That shows a very, very big difference just by performing Agnihotra in the brain waves. And that again, that is something you can objectively measure. There's less error like would you have in using some questionnaire. So all our endeavors of practicing yoga are supported by performing Agnihotra. Our atmosphere is filled with love and peace. This leads to more clarity of mind. Our health is improved. Meditation is easier. The purified atmosphere helps to still the mind. And that is the ultimate aim of yoga. Agnihotra is a big support to get that aim. There are some references. If you're interested, I could send to you. This is my contact. The email address, dgit@homatherapy. It's the German spelling, mind, DE, the web page, and some international web pages, also homahealth.com, homatherapyindia.com, and homatherapy.org. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for providing your knowledge, Agnihotra, its role in yoga, and our. We have learned so many things from your session, and you are also president of German Homa Therapy, and you are presently working or researching in the field of Homa Therapy all over the worldwide, in India and it's abroad too. And thank you so much, sir, for presenting your knowledge to us. And I hope I will request you to remain with us during webinar. And now we will move forward to Acharya Devashruti. So kindly he would like to introduce us the concept of mind in Vedic perspective. So we will request Sadhvi Devashruti to kindly present his views.
सभी को सादर नमस्ते. So I am Sadhvi Devashruti. Then my subject is वैदिक परिप्रेक्ष्य में मन की क्या अवधारणा है. हो सकता है थोड़ी नेटवर्क की प्रॉब्लम यहाँ पर हो जाए, तो कोई नहीं, हम प्रारंभ करते हैं. तो वैदिक परिप्रेक्ष्य में मन की क्या अवधारणा है, क्योंकि मन के ऊपर जितना कार्य वैदिक हमारी पद्धति में किया गया है उतना कार्य कहीं और पर नहीं किया गया. जितना अधिक हमारा साहित्य, वैदिक साहित्य बड़ा है, उसमें सबसे ज़्यादा कार्य मुझे दिखता है तो मन पे किया गया है. तो हमारा क्योंकि विषय है कि मन क्या है, हम मन को अच्छा बनाना चाहते हैं, हमारा जो विषय है कि हम मन को उत्कृष्ट कैसे बनाएं, तो सबसे पहले ये समझना बहुत आवश्यक है कि मन है क्या चीज़. तो क्योंकि हमसे ये विचार रखने को कहा गया कि वैदिक परिप्रेक्ष्य में मन की क्या अवधारणा है, तो हम अपने विचारों को रखते हैं. वैदिक परिप्रेक्ष्य में ऐसा माना जाता है कि मन जो है वो बहुत ही शक्तिशाली एक यंत्र है और वो जड़ है. ये दो चीज़ें हमारी दृढ़ मान्यताओं के अंतर्गत आती हैं कि एक तो वो चेतन नहीं है, दूसरा वो एक बहुत शक्तिशाली यंत्र है. उससे शक्तिशाली यंत्र और कोई दुनिया में नहीं है जितना शक्तिशाली मन है. मन बना किससे है, तो महर्षि कपिल ने सांख्य दर्शन में भी बताया है कि जब सृष्टि की उत्पत्ति क्रम जो है उसमें प्रकृति से महतत्व बनता है, उसी महतत्व से ये मन बना हुआ है और उस महतत्व का जो व्यापक है, उस महतत्व का विस्तार पूरे विश्व में, पूरे संसार में, पूरे जगत में, पूरी सृष्टि में अभी भी है और हमेशा रहता है। जब तक ये जगत रहता है उस महतत्व का विस्तार रहता है। तो उसी महतत्व से हमारा मन बना हुआ है। इस मन के विषय में देखते हैं तो पता चलता है कि इसको अंतःकरण के अंतर्गत भी महर्षि कपिल ने लिया है सांख्य दर्शन में। इसे ही अंतःकरण भी कहा गया है तो मन एक ही, परंतु उसके कार्यों की दृष्टि से, अलग अलग स्थानों पर कार्य करने की दृष्टि से उसे अलग अलग नाम दे दिए जाते हैं। जैसे एक ही वस्तु, एक ही व्यक्ति के कई सारे नाम होते हैं उसके अलग अलग कार्यों के कारण, वैसे ही यहाँ पर भी है। हमारे शरीर में मन एक जगह पर काम करता है, परंतु जो मनस तत्व है वो मनोमय शरीर के रूप में संपूर्ण शरीर में कार्य करता है। तो इस शरीर को हम अलग अलग विभागों में बांट करके देख लेते हैं। तो हमारी जो 5 ज्ञानेंद्रियां हैं, जैसे कि हमारी आँख, नाक, कान, जिह्वा और त्वचा, इन ज्ञानेंद्रियां, ये जो ज्ञानेंद्रियां हैं इनको जो नियंत्रित करता है, इन ज्ञानेंद्रियों की क्रियाओं को जो नियंत्रित करता है, उस मन को हम कहते हैं दैव मन। उस दैव मन के द्वारा ही हमारी दर्शन शक्ति कार्य करती है, श्रवण शक्ति कार्य करती है, स्पर्श की शक्ति कार्य करती है। तो ज्ञानेंद्रियों की शक्ति के नियंत्रक के रूप में दैव मन कार्य करता है। दूसरा हमारा कर्मेंद्रिय का विभाग आता है। कर्मेंद्रियों को जो मन नियंत्रित करता है वह मन कहलाता है यक्ष मन। जैसे बाघ, पाणी, पात, पायु, उपस्थ, ये जो कर्मेंद्रियां हैं इनको नियंत्रित करता है हमारा यक्ष मन। तो हमारे 2 पार्ट हो गए, एक तो दैव मन, दूसरा यक्ष मन। तीसरा होता है जो बुद्धि के रूप में मस्तिष्क में रह करके कार्य करता है। मस्तिष्क में रह करके जो निर्णय लेता है, हमारी इंद्रियों के विषयों का निर्णय जो करता है कि नेत्र, चक्षुर इंद्रिय का विषय ये रूप है, श्रोत्र इंद्रिय का विषय जो है ये शब्द है। तो इस प्रकार इंद्रियों के विषयों का जो नियंत्रण करता है उसे कहते हैं यक्ष मन। कर्म इंद्रियों के विषयों का नियंत्रण जो करता है। तो यक्ष मन के बाद हमने बुद्धि पे बात की। बुद्धि जो है वो निर्णय करती है। निर्णय ये करती है किस इंद्रिय का क्या विषय है, इसका निर्णय करती है, उसे बुद्धि कहते हैं।
एक्सक्यूज मी मैम, यू आर नॉट ऑडिबल। आपकी आवाज हम लोग को सुनाई नहीं दे रही है।
माइक को आप थोड़ा सा ऊपर।
ओम,
आप सही है। आप
अच्छा ठीक है। तो हम बुद्धि पर बात कर रहे थे कि मन का एक पार्ट होता है बुद्धि। बुद्धि का मतलब होता है वह मन जो मस्तिष्क में रह करके विषय, इंद्रियों के विषयों का निर्णय करता है, उसे कहते हैं बुद्धि। और इसे प्रज्ञान मन भी कहा जाता है। और अगला जो पार्ट आता है वो होता है चित्त, मतलब मन का वह भाग जिसमें स्मृतियां रहती हैं, हमारी मेमोरीज रहती हैं। और उन मेमोरीज के कारण से, हमारे विचारों के कारण से उसमें संस्कार संग्रहित रहते हैं, जिन संस्कारों के कारण हमारे जो आगे आने वाले कर्म हैं वो होते हैं। क्योंकि संस्कारों वृत्तिभिः संस्काराः भवन्ति, संस्कारेश्च वृत्तयः। तो ये चक्र निरंतर चलता रहता है। वृत्तियों से संस्कार उत्पन्न होते हैं, संस्कारों से पुनः वृत्तियां उत्पन्न होती हैं, संस्कारों से ही हम कर्म करने में आगे की ओर प्रवृत्त होते हैं। जैसे संस्कार होते हैं वैसे ही कर्म होते हैं। तो ये संस्कार और वृत्तियां मन के जिस भाग में रहती हैं उस भाग को हम कहते हैं चित्त। इसको चेतस मन का नाम भी दिया जाता है। अब ये जो 4 पार्ट हमने देखे, एक तो दैव मन, दूसरा यक्ष मन, तीसरा बुद्धि जिसको प्रज्ञान मन भी कहा गया, और चौथा जो हमने देखा चित्त जिसको चेतस मन भी कहा गया। तो ये चारों जो पार्ट हैं इनकी क्रियाएं हमें दिखाई देती, शुरू से हम देख सकते हैं। इसीलिए इन्हें जो है उद्बुद्ध मन के अंतर्गत लिया जाता है, व्यापृत मन के अंतर्गत लिया जाता है। एक ही मन के हमने 4 पार्ट लिए और इन 4 पार्ट्स को भी जो हम व्यापृत मन के रूप में कह सकते हैं। और अब 5वां जो पार्ट होता है मन का उसको कहते हैं धृति मन। धृति का अर्थ तो वैसे ही होता है जो सब कुछ धारण कर ले। तो एक मन का पार्ट जो हमारे अंदर रह करके उन सभी क्रियाओं को धारण करता है जिनका प्रत्यक्ष हमारी आत्मा तक को नहीं होता है। जैसे कि हमारे शरीर में पंच प्राण कार्य करते हैं, प्राण, अपान, व्यान, समान, उदान, जिनके कारण से हमारा रक्त संचरण होता है, जिनके कारण से हमारे भोजन का पाचन होता है, जिनके कारण से अलग अलग क्रियाएं होती हैं। तो इन पंच प्राणों का नियंत्रण, अलग अलग क्रियाओं का नियंत्रण, अलग अलग शक्तियां इसमें निहित होती हैं, तो उसे कहते हैं धृति मन, जिसका प्रत्यक्ष हमें नहीं हो पाता, जो स्वतः ही चलता रहता है, सोते हुए, जागते हुए, किसी भी अवस्था में जब तक हम जीवित रहते हैं तब तक सारी क्रियाएं चलती रहती हैं। तो वो क्रियाएं जिस मन में रहती हैं उस मन को कहते हैं धृति मन। और ये जो धृति मन है, इस धृति मन को भी कार्य की भिन्नता के कारण से अलग अलग शब्दों के द्वारा कह दिया जाता है। तो इसको भी एक बार हम देख लेते हैं। जो धृति मन होता है जब वो आत्मा के प्रकाश से संबंधित होता है, मतलब जब उसको आत्मा का प्रत्यक्ष होता है या आत्मा के ज्ञान से वो अपने आप को प्रकाशित पाता है, तो वहां पर उस मन का नाम हो जाता है प्रत्यक भान मन। और वही मन जो कि समस्त विश्व में व्यापृत महत्त्व के संपर्क में आकर के जब उससे प्रकाशित होता है, या फिर इसको दूसरे शब्दों में कहें कि परमात्मा के ज्ञान से प्रकाशित होता है, उस सुप्रीम पावर के प्रकाश से प्रकाशित होता है, तब इसको कहते हैं विश्वमानस। विश्वमानस इसको बोलते हैं, और उसके विश्वभान मन भी इसको बोला जाता है। और उसके बाद में जब इतना सब कुछ होने के बाद में इसमें वशीकरण की एक नियंत्रण की शक्ति आ जाती है, सभी चीजों को नियंत्रण करने की शक्ति आती है, तब इसको कहते हैं वशीकरण मन। तो धृति मन के ये 3 पार्ट्स हो जाते हैं, उसके अलग अलग कार्यों के कारण। ये जो मन है ये इस प्रकार से हम 7 विभागों में इसको बांट सकते हैं। पहले 4 विभागों में हमने बांटा, और फिर धृति जो मन का 5वां विभाग था, उस धृति के ही 3 विभाग हमने करके देखे। तो ये सब जो भी हम आज विचार कर रहे हैं, ये सारा वैदिक अवधारणा ही है। अलग अलग ऋषियों ने उपनिषदों में, वेदों में जो हमें बताया, क्योंकि ऐतरेय उपनिषद में आता है कि चंद्रमा मनो भूत्वा हृदयम प्राविशत, कि चंद्रमा है वह मन बन करके हृदय में प्रविष्ट हो गया, तब उसको मन कहा गया। कहने का मतलब है वैसे तो हमारे पूरे शरीर में मनस्तत्व काम करता है, लेकिन उसे मन नहीं कहते, उसे कहते हैं मनोमय शरीर। जैसे कि आप लोग योग के संबंधित सभी व्यक्ति हैं यहाँ पर, तो हमारे शरीर में 5 कोश होते हैं, तो उसमें एक कोश होता है मनोमय कोश। तो जो संपूर्ण शरीर में कार्य कर रहा है उसको मनोमय कोश कहते हैं। परंतु जब वही मनस्तत्व हृदय में प्रविष्ट हो जाता है तब उसे कहते हैं मन। अब ये जो मन है यही जो है मस्तिष्क में जाकर के बुद्धि का कार्य करता है, निर्णय का कार्य करता है, तब इसे बुद्धि कह देते हैं। जब ये स्मृतियों को संचय करने का और संस्कारों को संचय करने का कार्य करता है तब इसे चित्त कह दिया जाता है। तो अलग अलग क्रियाओं के कारण मन का अलग अलग नाम हो जाता है। और इसको जो अभी एक मैंने पंक्ति बोली कि चंद्रमा मनो भूत्वा हृदयम प्राविशत, यहाँ पर चंद्रमा के समान तत्व से बना हुआ है मन, ऐसा बताया गया। जैसे चंद्रमा प्रकाशित होता है, शीतल होता है और सत्व गुण संपन्न होता है, सत्व की अधिकता उसमें होती है, वैसे ही मन भी जो है वो एक प्रकाशमान तत्व से निर्मित है। वो जो प्रकाशमान तत्व सर्वत्र व्यापक है। और ये बहुत बड़ी एक बात है कि यदि मनुष्य का मनस्तत्व यदि बाहर के मनस्तत्व से युक्त हो जाए तो उसकी अनुभूतियों का स्तर अत्यधिक बढ़ जाता है, बहुत ही अधिक उसका बढ़ जाता है। वो एक जगह पर बैठ कर के ही बहुत अधिक दूर की चीजों को भी अनुभव कर सकता है। तो ये तो मन की बात हुई। अब मन के विषय में यजुर्वेद के 34वें अध्याय में पूरा शिव संकल्प सूक्त के माध्यम से मन के विषय में बहुत अधिक विचार किया गया है, जिसके ऋषि स्वयं शिव संकल्प हैं, और जो देवता है अर्थात जो मन उसका विषय है वो मन है। तो मन के विषय में तो हमने जान लिया कैसे बना है, कैसे क्या है, परंतु मन को अब इतनी सारी उसमें अलग अलग प्रकार के संस्कार हैं, इतनी स्मृतियां हैं, जिसके कारण से हम कुछ करना चाहते हैं पर कर नहीं पाते। तो एक प्रश्न हमारे सामने आता है कि मन को उत्कृष्ट कैसे बनाएं, अपने मन को और अच्छा कैसे बनाएं। तो यहाँ पर हमारा मन जो है पहले से ही बहुत शक्तिशाली है, इसको उत्कृष्ट बनाने से ज़्यादा आवश्यक है कि हम इसको जान जाएं ये कैसा है। इसके ऊपर जो बाधाओं की मैल की एक परत चढ़ी हुई है, जैसे कोई बहुत बड़ा, कोई अच्छा बहुत कीमती रत्न हो और उसके ऊपर बहुत सारी सालों करोड़ों वर्षों से कोई परत चढ़ गई हो, तो फिर उसको हमें उन परतों को साफ करना पड़ता है उस रत्न को जानने के लिए। ऐसे ही हमारा मन है, तो इसमें हजारों करोड़ों वर्षों से, क्योंकि ये शरीर तो, इसकी अवस्था तो निश्चित है, किसी की 20, 25, 30 साल, 60 साल, 100 साल, परंतु हमारा जो मन है वो न जाने कितने करोड़ों लाखों वर्षों से चला आ रहा है। तो इसमें संस्कारों की परतें जमी हुई हैं। जब हम उन संस्कारों को क्षीण कर देते हैं, दग्ध बीज कर देते हैं, तब हमें मन के यथार्थ स्वरूप का ज्ञान होता है। और जब इसके यथार्थ स्वरूप का ज्ञान हो जाता है, तब हम इसका सही उपयोग कर पाते हैं। तो यहाँ पर एक बहुत अच्छा और बहुत विचार करने योग्य प्रश्न उठता है कि हम करें कैसे। इस प्रश्न का उत्तर हम समझने का थोड़ा सा प्रयास करते हैं। इसके लिए हमारे ऋषियों ने 2 ही बातें बताई, सबसे महत्वपूर्ण 2 बातें। उन्हीं बातों में सारी चीजें आ जाती हैं। तो उसमें पहली बात जो बताई वो ये है कि हमारा संकल्प बहुत ही शुभ हो। जैसा हम अपने आप को बनाना चाहते हैं, तो सबसे पहले हम अपने आप को विचारों के स्तर पे वैसा बनाएं। इसीलिए जो हमारा शिव संकल्प सूक्त है, उसके प्रत्येक मंत्र में अंतिम जो शब्द है वो यही है, तन्मे मनः शिव संकल्पमस्तु, तन्मे मनः शिव संकल्पमस्तु। मन के विषय में बताते हुए कि मन जो है वो जागते हुए, सोते हुए भी बहुत दूर दूर तक जाता है, ये इतना शक्तिशाली है, इसमें ऋक यजु साम सभी वेदों का ज्ञान परिनिष्ठित है, ये जो है सभी कार्यों को करने वाला है, ये होता है इत्यादि मन के स्वरूप को उन्होंने बताते हुए प्रत्येक मंत्र में अंतिम पंक्ति लिखी, तन में मनः शिव संकल्पमस्तु। वह मेरा बहुत शक्तिशाली मन, बहुत पावरफुल मन जो हमारा है, वह शिव संकल्प से युक्त हो। तो पहला उपाय ये है कि हमारे जो विचार हो, हमें उन्हें सबसे पहले अच्छा करना चाहिए, हमेशा पॉजिटिव रहना चाहिए। पॉजिटिव रहने के साथ साथ कभी भी निराश नहीं होना चाहिए। गीता में भगवान श्री कृष्ण स्वयं कहते हैं, उद्धरेद आत्मनात्मानम नात्मानम अवसादयत। सीधे सीधे मना किया है कि कभी भी अपने आप को निराश मत होने दो। आज की सबसे बड़ी यही प्रॉब्लम है, व्यक्ति अपने आप को स्वयं ही निराश कर लेता है। व्यक्ति अपना रिमोट कंट्रोल दूसरे के हाथ में दे देता है और स्वयं अपने आप को निराश कर लेता है। तो पहला जो उपाय है वो यही है कि हम अपने विचारों को अच्छा करें, शुभ संकल्प करें, हमेशा पॉजिटिव रखें, क्योंकि इस संसार में जो भी होता है वो या तो अच्छा होता है, या तो अच्छा होने के लिए उसका बेस बन रहा होता है, अच्छे होने की तैयारी हो रही होती है, या तो शुभ है या तो शुभ का वहां पर तैयारी हो रही है। तो और दूसरा जो है वो ये है कि हम तपस्या करें। तपस्चरण बहुत आवश्यक है। मुझे याद आता है, योग दर्शन में महर्षि व्यास भी कहते हैं, ना तपस्विनो योगा सिद्ध्यति, कि यदि कोई योग सिद्ध करना चाहता है परंतु तपस्या नहीं करना चाहता, तो उसका योग कभी भी सिद्ध नहीं होगा। तो तपस्या करनी होती है। अब ये जो तपस्या है, ये इतना बड़ा शब्द है कि जितने भी साधन हमें भगवान ने दिए हैं, परमेश्वर ने दिए हैं, इस प्रकृति ने दिए हैं, जो भी हम मानना चाहें, परंतु साधन तो है ही हमारे पास कर्म के। तो जो भी साधन है, हमारा शरीर है, हमारी वाणी है, हमारा जो मन है, ये 3 साधन मुख्य रूप से हैं। तो इन साधनों के द्वारा तपस्या करें। शरीर से साधना करें, तपस्या करें। देव द्विज गुरु प्राज्ञ पूजनम शौचमार्जवम ब्रह्मचर्य अहिंसा च शारीरम तपोच्यते। तो इस प्रकार से यज्ञ करें, जैसा कि अभी हमने पहले जो वक्ता रहे उनसे भी सुना कि देवताओं का पूजन करें, द्विजों का पूजन करें, देव द्विज गुरु प्राज्ञ पूजनम, इन सभी का पूजन करें। अब भगवान सूर्य की पूजा करने के लिए कोई धूप बत्ती जलाने की आवश्यकता नहीं है। भगवान सूर्य की पूजा करने के लिए, चंद्र की पूजा करने के लिए, इस प्रकृति की पूजा करने के लिए सबसे उत्कृष्ट साधन है तो वो हवन है, यज्ञ है, अग्निहोत्र है। क्योंकि एक साथ पूजन का मतलब यही है कि उन्होंने हमारे ऊपर जो उपकार किया है, तो कम से कम हमारा कर्तव्य इतना बनता है कि हम उन्हें उसी रूप में रहने दें, उनको किसी भी प्रकार से हानि ना पहुंचाएं। तो इस प्रकार से हम तपस्या का आचरण करें, देव द्विज गुरु प्राज्य जैसे हमने कहा। फिर मन का तप करें, वाणी का तप करें, अनुद्वेग करम वाक्यम सत्यम प्रिय हितम चयत। अच्छा बोलें, किसी को क्रोध ना आए, कि कोई हमारी वाणी से उद्विग्न ना हो ऐसा बोलें। ऐसे ही मन का तप करें कि मनः प्रसादः सौम्यत्वं मौनम् आत्म विनिग्रह, मौन रहें। हमें अपने मन को यदि शक्तिशाली बनाना है, मन के यथार्थ स्वरूप को यदि जानना है, तो सबसे पहली बात है कि सदा प्रसन्न रहें। प्रसन्न रहने के साथ साथ हम मौन रहें। और उसके बाद में कहते हैं कि मनः प्रसादः सौम्यत्वं मौनम् आत्म विनिग्रह। इस प्रकार से जितनी भी उन्होंने हमें मन के तप के साधन बताए हैं, स्वाध्याय करना बहुत बड़ा एक तप है, अपना ही आत्मनिरीक्षण करना। यदि हम इन सभी साधनों का प्रयोग करते हैं और मन को यथार्थ रूप में जानने का प्रयास करते हैं, तो हमारा मन बहुत ही उत्कृष्ट हो जाएगा। और यदि मन को हम सही तरीके से जान लेते हैं और उसे अपने वश में कर लेते हैं, तो हमारा जो यात्रा है हमारी, वो वैसी ही हो जाती है जैसे एक किसी व्यक्ति के पास बहुत अच्छा यंत्र भी है और उसे बहुत जल्दी पहुंचना भी है और वो उसे चलाना चाहता हो। तो इसके लिए आज मन के विषय में मैं इतना ही अपने विचार रखती हूँ।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका। आपके विचारों से उम्मीद है कि सभी लोग लाभान्वित हुए होंगे। और इस तरीके की जो वैदिक कल्चर है, वी शुड ट्राई टू अडॉप्ट all the knowledge from our rishis, our saints. This is for universal, not only for a particular one. This knowledge of Vedic culture or Rishi culture is for all of us. So we should try to adopt all these knowledge and for our mental excellence too. In this schedule, now we will move to Dr. Henry. Are you present there, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, sir. So for 1 minute, I have to introduce you. Dr. W. Henry is PhD, and he is a clinical psychologist with a wealth of experience. He has expertise as a clinician, trainer, consultant, and researcher in a number of services areas including substance abuse, HIV/AIDS, criminal justice, mental health, and behavioral health. Currently, Dr. is an assistant professor at the University of Maryland School of Nursing. He also has served as an associate director for the Maryland Baltimore Country Department of Psychology Center for Community Collaboration. And Dr. Henry also provides consultation and training to public and private agencies. He is a president of Baltimore Homa Community BSC. It is a non-profit organization dedicated to supporting a loving and sustainable way of living based on the practice of Agnihotra and Homa. So we will move forward to Dr. Henry, how Agnihotra and its role in our mental health. The topic is mind training and Agnihotra. Sir, now it's your turn to present your view.
Yes, thanks for having me. So Sri Vasant used to say, the mind is rationalize, justify, or defend anything. The mind is, the undisciplined mind is undependable. The undisciplined mind can be not only unhealthy, it can be destructive. And in today's world, the mind is particularly challenged because we're overstimulated everywhere, everywhere. There are constantly forces that are trying to program our minds. The mind is basically like a computer. Whatever goes in will come out. And some good things come in through our families, our loved ones, our education systems, our community. Some good things come in. But there are also some not so good things that are coming in all the time. Matter of fact, there are whole industries that are based on influencing how we think. There was research done in the US a few years ago that said the average person in the US sees 2,000 commercials a day. And that just means turning on the television, going up and down the street, looking at signs and and such. That's 2,000 sophisticated attempts to influence how we think and what we do. Having been to India in some of the cities, I would think it's comparable. There are lots of forces that are trying to influence how we think, and what we do. And so we're pretty much past the time as a society worldwide where a laissez-faire approach to developing our minds will work, where we can just do it casually. For us to be healthy, successful, productive, requires that we be intentional about programming our minds. Agnihotra is a material aid to that programming process. As was said earlier, it helps to calm the mind. And when the mind is calm, it goes to deeper states of functioning, it quiets, and it's more easily influenced. As long as it's agitated, as long as it's overstimulated, it is dealing with a lot of stress and is not dependable. The mind must be quieted in order to function in its best state. So
sorry for interrupting you, sir.
Yes.
I would like to request Mr. Ashish to please mute their mic. Mr. Ashish, आप सुन पा रहे हैं तो आप अपना mic mute कर लीजिए, please.
Okay, I think he's muted now.
Now you can continue, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So I started Agnihotra in 1974, and I was very fortunate. We had a couple communities in Baltimore, and at that time, there were a group of us who were mental health professionals, psychologists, social workers, counselors, right? And we formed what was called the Baltimore Family Life Center. And there we did foster care, we did behavioral health, we did some substance abuse treatment. We did a variety of behavioral health interventions. The center of what we did was Agnihotra. We did Agnihotra actually on the premises of our offices. And we began to notice some things. It had a parallel effect on both the therapist, the interventionist, as well as on the client. And I see some of those to this day. And it went something like this. When, how should I say? Oh, let me back up a little bit. Out of that, several intervention models have been documented and developed to work with individuals and families. Models and frameworks are good and are necessary. They help us to focus when we're doing clinical work, but they also keep us out of the way. They help us to have a more pure interaction, because ultimately, more than the technique, what is really helps the change process is the energy of the people involved. So as an interventionist, if my energy is pure, if my prana is high, then I am going to be more effective in trying to facilitate a healthy interaction with the person that I'm working with, and vice versa. What we also noticed is that when clients came in the office, and to this day, I have an office in my home, see the same thing. Folks come in, and one of the first things they comment on is how calm it feels, how peaceful it feels. And what we've discovered over time is when clients feel peaceful, when they feel comfortable, when they feel, when they're de-stressed, they're less resistant to change. They are less resistant to change. They are more open, they feel safe, and are more likely to try something out of their comfort zone with the help of a therapist. So real quickly, I'd like to just share with you one of the formats that we were taught for as therapists to use and to do with our clients in the context of the models that we use. And we call it this, we would taught this as the 7 rules of thumb, 7 rules of thumb. And the first one is no fault finding. No fault finding. That means that instead of looking for the deficit, looking what's wrong, looking how somebody is not functioning, we're looking for what is working, how they are functioning, what their contribution is. Now that's a little bit different how most of the systems work. Those of us who work in the systems know that in order to get paid, we have to put down what's wrong with a person. And that diagnosis is based on comparing that person to other people. Well, actually, comparison is one of the most violent things you can do with a person, because each one of us is a unique manifestation of the divine. When we look at strengths, capabilities, resilience, capacities, and we can see that person's uniqueness and support it, we are helping them be what they are intended to be. We're helping them to find their purpose, their rhythm on the planet. So no fault finding says that we're being strengths oriented and we're looking for what's right, what the person is capable of, how they fit. We're looking for what helps them be their best selves. Number 2 is discrimination. Discrimination is making the best decision one can make and being consistent with that decision. Clarifying our goals, objectives, and making commitments to follow through in a way that, how should I say, encourages the universe to give us feedback. Whatever decision we make, the universe is always going to give us feedback to let us know whether we're on target, off target, need to shift a little bit this way or that. But the first thing we need is a decision, a decision. The more consciously, the more intentionally we make decisions, the better we get at the process. The better we get at the process. Anything like anything else, the more we practice, the better we get. Number 3, or actually number 2, that was number 3. The other one, next one is single pointedness. Single pointedness. And this is the issue of focus. I mean, many of us know that the process goes concentration, contemplation, meditation. When we focus our minds get off of the surface. Research says that most of us use only 10 to 15% of our minds on a good day, when we're feeling well, when we're sober, when we're well rested. Otherwise, it can get a little tricky there. So that says that there's about 85% of our minds that are subconscious, that are below the surface. And what's required for us to access that is for the stillness. Be still and know. Be still and know. So when we're focused on one thing at a time, we develop the ability to go deeper. Agnihotra quiets the mind. When we decide what we're going to focus on, it begins to go deeper. And we can access the more subtle parts of our mind, and therefore use that informed information to make more informed decisions about what we're going to do. So that issue of single pointedness helps us to utilize the full capacity of our minds. And remember, I'm talking about this in the context of a society that's constantly bombarding all of us with stimulus all the time. I mean, few of us live now in rural areas where we only interact in our lifetime with 100, 150 people. Most of us are bombarded with stimulus all the time. Every time we turn on our phones, every time we turn on the TV, watch the news, we are bombarded with all the stimulus. And all the stimulus is somebody's agenda for us. Somebody's agenda. Want us to buy this, accept this theory, believe this, see things this way. When we can be singly focused using the process of Agnihotra, we can go deeper and get more minds and make more intelligent decisions about what it is we want to focus on and how we want to be in the world. How we want to be in the world. Because if we're not making those decisions intentionally and following through with them, believe me, there are many, many other entities that are working on that very hard. The fourth one is non-attachment. Non-attachment. Non-attachment, to me, has always been the most subtle of these rules of thumb. It basically means letting go, acceptance, surrender. It means accepting that I am not in charge. My job is to do the best I can do and let the rest go. Now, as scientists, most of us know that our society doesn't run that way. We are outcomes driven. Everything is measured by outcomes. So I have to, it's not successful unless I can get you to do what I want you to do. Non-attachment says something a little different than that. It says, my job is to have a healthy interaction with you, and what comes out of that is what comes out of that. I have met clients in my younger days who I thought I had failed with because they didn't meet the outcomes that I had for them. And several of them told me, oh, no, I got a lot out of what you gave me, because they were looking at their lives in a different perspective than I was. They weren't measuring by the same yardstick. One client told me he had gone to jail. And I said, well, he said, I'm going to thank you for all you did for me. I said, but you went to jail. He said, no, you don't understand. You need skills if you go to jail. And I was probably headed to jail a long time before I met you. So again, this is really the actualization of not my will, but thy will be done. My job is to do the best I can with giving, helping the person, giving positive energy, helping them to be single-pointed, to make good informed decisions, and whatever comes out of that is what comes out of that. And then it gets simpler from that, the last three. When in doubt, think something good. Think something good. When you are sitting with somebody, whether it's a family member, a child, or a client, and you're thinking a negative thought, that negative thought communicates. Whether that person is conscious of it or not, it influences that relationship, it communicates. If ever I have to come see you for service, if you can't think good things about me, let me know so I can go somewhere else. When you think good things about a person, you help them to be that way. You join that energy, you bring that energy out in them and create positive force that is healing, that is healthy, that helps them to actualize. So it's think something good, say something good, be affirming, be supportive, be acknowledging. One of our mentors who did Agnihotra used to say, we want to aggressively look for monuments, something to say, good job, I like that. That's what's working. Because we know from operant conditioning, again, whatever we acknowledge, we begin to reinforce. We begin to reinforce. So we want to look for the exceptions to the rules sometimes so we can find things to reinforce and say something good. And of course, the last one is what? Do something good. Think something good, say something good, do something good. Because we want to demonstrate, we want to model, we want to interact with whoever we're interacting with in a way that shows our commitment to living our highest life, our commitment to believing in them, to believing in the divine, and to surrendering to the divine's will. So again, this 7 rules of thumb: no fault finding, single pointedness, discrimination, non-attachment, think something good, say something good. A framework to help us, energy to be pure, to help us to be available, to help people to actualize their path, their potential, without our judgments, without our agendas, submitting to a larger understanding of who they are and what we're doing on this planet. So in order to do that, that has to be applied not only to the client, but to us as providers. It's a parallel process because we have to work on ourselves continually to have something to give to somebody else. Thank you for that moment. Mind training, a focus for us all.
Thank you very much, sir, for presenting your views and giving your valuable time to us. And your knowledge is very helpful. And we will request you to remain in the webinar. We have also some speakers left who are presenting or going to present his views on very interesting topics. Thank you very much, sir, again. And now we will like to call upon Dr. P.K. Khatri, sir. If my voice is audible, are you there, sir? If Dr. P.K. Khatri, sir, is present.
Yes. I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. And now we have to introduce you. Dr. P.K. Pradeep Kumar Khatri, sir, is a retired professor and head Department of Psychology, National PG College, Lucknow University, Director at Sambal De-Addiction and Psychiatric Hospital, Lucknow, practicing clinical psychologist and as a counselor. Today, he will present his views on the topic Ayurveda, Yoga and Mental Health, Vedic Psychology. Sir, we are welcoming you. Now, it's your turn. So, Dr. Khatri, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Hi to everyone. The topic of today's webinar is Universal Approach of Vedic Culture for Mental Excellence. As a student of psychology, I believe that our Indian Vedic culture is very much important to keep our maintain our mental equilibrium. And if I explain it in this way, that Param Adarani Guruji, Shri Ram Sharma Acharya ji, who has given very small tips to reduce the stress, to reduce the tension, to maintain the mental equilibrium. If we follow all those small tips, definitely our mental excellence will be very good and our mental equilibrium will be at our own control. I'll just discuss very short about the what the mental health is, what are the causes of the disturbances, and how this Ayurveda and yoga make the mental equilibrium in balance. As I have seen that during this pandemic attack, most of us are just trying to develop the immunity. So all the immunity is coming from the Ayurveda and our this ministry has developed Ayush Mantralaya separately. So nowadays you can imagine what the use of Ayurveda is there in maintaining the immunity of the human being, as well as, and when the immunity will be in our control, then the mental equilibrium will be very in the balanced form, and it will be in our control. So what the mental health is, in 4 lines I would like to just explain it, that mental health is an integral part of health. Mental health is more than the absence of mental illness. Yes, mental health is absence of mental illness, but sometimes mental health disturbs when the mental illness just takes it in the mental health. If we are depressed, if we are irritable, if we are tense, if we are frustrated, then these are the causes through which our mental equilibrium disturbs. And mental health is intimately connected with physical health and behavior. It is quite obvious. What we say in our psychology, that is the psychophysiological disorders or psychosomatic disorders, कि वो चीज जो है हम फील करते हैं फिजिकल लेवल पर, but it is related with our mental level. So with physical health and behavior, good mental health is a sense of well-being, confidence, and self-esteem. What the World Health Organization has said about the mental health is that it is a state in which every individual realizes his or her potentials, may cope with the normal stresses of life, may work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her own community. So this is the mental health. Now, how it is being disturbed nowadays. Every individual, whether it is the children, whether it is the adolescents, late adult, youth, and the old age person, every is just having the problem of the mental equilibrium. So the causes of mental disturbance are multifaceted and highly complex, but evidence suggests that the modern approach of mental health is limited and largely ineffective, judging by the increasing number of people suffering from mental health issues. Actually, our thought process is one of the main reason to disturb our mental health. Most of the time in this pandemic, I'm just taking the example of this pandemic, everyone is saying कि आप जो है डरिए नहीं, precaution लीजिए. You just take the precaution, don't have the fear. But we just do the reverse. We are not very much interested to take the precaution, but we are very much fearful. Still, people are roaming outside without having the mask. Why? So this is the reason that we invite the mental disequilibrium with our own self. There is more violence, suicide, depression, anxiety, addiction, and profile use of psychotropic prescription drugs than ever before. Nowadays, we are having a mild headache, then we just go in a chemist shop and we will take a pill and we will have it. We are not going to know the root cause why it is there. Yet, it is known that the use of medication for mental illness causes dependency, which is very true. I am running the psychiatric hospital, the addiction center, and I know it. We used to just give the training of yoga. I have the yoga instructor in my hospital who used to just come every morning and teaches the yoga, pranayam, so many exercises to our patients to reduce their stress, to reduce their tension, to reduce their irritability. So we just give them the medication, but medication up to that level that one should not be dependent on it. Causes dependency and adverse side effect, but an alternative comprehensive approach has never been explored. So now it has been explored that as a Ayush Mantralaya, if we just analyze the COVID hospitals, they are still providing their hot water, kalha, lemon in the hot water, something like these, just to increase the immunity. Modern culture, where money is the everything, is a breeding ground for mental disturbances. Due to this, loneliness, isolation, the dissolution of family and community, and the constant bombardment of toxic material on the collective mind are uses of our time. In addition, is the fact that available of most people in mass produced, contaminated by chemicals and low nutritional value, all contributing to ill mental health. The Vedas recognized mental illness thousands of years ago by understanding the connection between the body, mind, and spirituality. In Ayurveda, Sushastra advocates for swasth vritti, that is the positive health. Now in psychology, we are teaching the positive psychology, mindfulness, gratitude, hope, all these things, which is nowadays decreasing within the individuals, within the humanity. So now you see, the 1,000 years back, the swasthya vritti, positive health was recommended. Then dincharya, daily routine. Nowadays, no routine of the youngers are there. छुट्टी है तो हमको तो 10 बजे उठना है. Why? So this is the recommending the dincharya. We should maintain our daily routine. Ritucharya, seasonal routines. In our Indian culture, the 4 categories are there. So this is the Ritucharya, seasonal routine. Seasonal routine is important. We should follow it. The foods of the seasonal routine is also important. Then diet, exercise for positive health. Spiritual dimensions of personality as recommended by Upanishads. They have told what they should do. For example, Buddhism favors to lead a well-ordered life by opting middle course between self-indulgence and extreme simplicity. This is the Buddhist concept. What the Jainism emphasized, they emphasized non-violence, vegetarianism, warmth, and human sympathy. With human sympathy in psychology, we have developed one more thing, that is the empathy. Nowadays, empathy is more important. Yug Purush Patanjali advocated to follow 8-fold path of yoga to get insight and sublime purity of the soul. This could be achieved through adopting a particular lifestyle, including 8 steps of the yoga, that is yam, self-control, with 5 rules, that is non-violence, truthfulness. आज आप देखिए कितना हम सच बोलते हैं. मैनिपुलेशंस हमारे अंदर बड़ा जाता है। अगर हम कोविड की बात करें तो बहुत से लोग ऐसे हैं जो हॉस्पिटल से भाग भी जा रहे हैं। दिस इज द हाइट ऑफ द ट्रूथफुलनेस। नॉट स्टीलिंग, chastity, that is the purity and the virginity, and avoidance of greed. Further, niyam, that is observance through purity, contaminated study of Vedas and devotion of God. When we devoted, when we pray to the God, when we are in the problems, then we pray the God. In our daily routine, why in our dincharya, whether it is included to just pay the homage to the God. So, devotion of the God. Then the third one, that is the asan, that is the posture. How many posture? How many times we just give the attention on our postures? Pranayam, control of breath, and pratyahar, restraint. Then dharna, that is steadifying of the mind. हम अपना concentration कितना strong कर पाते हैं? Nowadays, the problem of the youth, the problem of the children is that I am not able to concentrate. This is the dharna. And the seventh is meditation, dhyana. And eighth and last is samadhi, that is the deep meditation. All of these lifestyle concepts should be followed, each of us, to just maintain our mental health equilibrium, keep in our balance. Ayurveda and yoga, which are Vedic sciences, address the body, mind, and spirit to get to the root cause of disease. Vedic philosophy does not describe psychology but recognizes that mental disturbances manifest as imbalance of all aspects of the human conditions, each one affecting the other. Vedic philosophy and the principles of Ayurveda and yoga, with understanding of the mind and its connection to spirituality, is an effective, long-term, and permanent solution to the mental health issues of the modern society. So, what I just conclude with are these discussions, that to maintain our mental health, to get the excellence of the mental health, we should follow the sutras given by the Ayurveda. We should do some yogic exercises, and keep our mind fresh, light, and without manipulations. I'm thankful for the organizers inviting me for this webinar. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir, for providing your valuable time, your knowledge on the Vedic perspective of mind, Ayurveda, the yoga. We hope all should understand about ancient Rishi culture, Ayurveda, and yoga, and should try to adopt these valuable teachings for upliftment of mental excellence. In this schedule, now we will move forward to Chitra. Are you there? Okay, Kajal Jain. Now we will move forward to Kajal Jain. Are you there? Kindly unmute your mic.
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Okay.
Am I
Okay.
audible?
Now we will move forward. Now he will show some presentation regarding our organization. Now it's your turn, Kajal.
32,000
Thank you.
जो हमारा प्रीमियम
Thank you,
जो है
Pranam.
36,000 है.
First of all, pranam and good evening to everyone. And I would like to thank my university and Department of Psychology and Team Karuna for giving me this opportunity.
GST वगैरह होगा उसमें.
We welcome all the delegates and our audience in today's webinar. We are very privileged to have you all in this platform. So, Karuna is a co-organizer in this webinar, and we are conducting it with the collaboration of this Sanskriti Vishwavidyalya Haridwar on this very interesting and knowledgeful topic, universal approaches of Vedic culture for mental excellence. So now in a very short period of time, I'm going to give you a brief introduction about our organization, Karuna Improving Mental Health. So I'm going to share you my screen. Please let me know you can see it or not. Please let me know you can see it or not. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes, you are audible. Carry on.
Okay, thank you. So this is the logo. This is the logo of our organization. And as we have our foreign delegates with us, so I'm going to describe the meaning of Karuna in a very short. So Karuna is a compassionate action towards others, and it's being present for others who are and it's being present for others who are suffering and to explore the way to assist them. So here we have our tagline, Atmavat Sarva Bhuteshu, which means that one should feel that if happiness